Welcome back to another episode of the Consequences of Our Actions. I am Squish. It is an 11.7 down tier day for the F-14A early, and we are Tom Cruise maxing because we're flying out the F-14A and we're shooting Phoenixes at things, and I mean it's a lot of fun for me. It's probably not a lot of fun for the guys on the receiving end of this, but this is kind of one of the very, very obvious, very, very intended consequences of the multipathing changes is that we took something that was already probably one of the best 11.7s in the game, just from a flight performance perspective, and just from the sheer quantity of weaponry, and we just made basically the loadout that it can carry, a lot more, like, not even viable, but just dominant, because the F-14A at 11.7 brings to the table things that no other plane can bring. Namely, it has Fox 3s. It has the longest ranged Fox 3 in the game. It has the AIM-54. And the AIM-54 has received some substantial buffs in the last couple of months. Mainly, it pulls more Gs than it used to. It's not nearly as brain dead easy to just dodge. Yes, if you're an ARB and you have the markers and it's coming at you and you know it's coming at you, yeah, you can probably do something about it. In Sim, the way that I'm launching these, I'm going to altitude, I'm getting to Mach 1 when I can, and I'm trying to pick targets based on whether or not they're coming at me or not, and I'm trying to pick guys that are more or less 10 to 15 degrees pointed at me and are more or less going to fly straight into it, because at this tier, the F-14A has a weakness, and the weakness is the RWR is not very good. It doesn't pick up a lot of radars, but guess what? We are playing with France on our side, we have Britain on our side. So we have literally all of the good planes are consolidated to one side of the match. There is nothing in the match that capability-wise brings anything to the table that I can't match or just completely dominate against. The MiG-23 is the best plane that you can fight against with the F-14A at this tier right now, or at least in this team composition. There are going to be other team compositions where France is on the enemy team, and are going to see a lot of Mirage 2000s, and that's really the only plane that has any counterplay to this. And not to my surprise, some of the dedicated sim players, some of the dedicated prop players that are switching over to jets because of the ability to exploit the new amount of imbalance. Well, one of the first things that One Bullet 95 did was complain that the F-14A fights the Mirage 2000. The Mirage 2000 should be up tiered. So if that gives you a hint of where the actual mindset of some of the sim community is, the scummy thing that I'm doing is I'm playing the good plane and showing it to you. Not everyone is showing it to you. They're just not playing it, or they're gonna go on and pretend that this is okay. When really, I don't think that this is okay. I don't think this is sustainable. I think having 30 to 50% of the player base not having any form of counterplay is a really bad gameplay decision. What has happened is the simulation cart has been put before the gameplay horse of this isn't fair. And if a game isn't fair, people aren't going to want to play it. And I've already ran into this already, because in making this video and going to the commentary, I was I'm going to play a couple more F-14A games today. It's the 4th of July. People should be home. There should be at least some people playing. It shouldn't be hard to find a game. No, can't find a game. It is already been played out. It's already saturated. People have kind of decided that just being on the side that eats shit all the time is not really an equitable gameplay experience, because what is going on now is that one side has some pretty hard skill checks just to cross in order to have the potential of breaking even. Yeah, cool, experienced sim players will figure out a way to break even. You can cherry pick your lobby until you get all the people with potatoes for fingers, and cool, it'll work. I've done that in the SU-27. I've also been in games with the Sim Super Squad in the SU-27 and seen them leave because they weren't doing as well as they thought they should have been. That's not a good sign. That's not a good sign for the long-term health of the game. The fact that the only thing keeping one side alive is having symmetrical planes on both sides, it's not good. And I don't think it's going to get any better from this point forward, because number one, all the planes that the U.S. can add are just going to be even better capability. Missiles are going to get more capable. People are already advocating to nerf the effectiveness of chaff, because apparently chaffing Fox 3s is too easy, even though, like, the guy that I showcased, like, saying that, you can chaff them really easily, and then I get to the merge, and, like, they blow past, like, he ate the second missile, like, each time. Like, as soon as he goes in, like, just a little bit in hot, I just shoot a second one, and it's kind of like game over. The same thing of, like, if you have to play purely defensive, if you're at a 90-degree offset to a guy, and you have to 90-degree offset to him and let him merge, especially from the side with a 9M, that's a disadvantageous position. Like, if you don't have a plane that's just, like, overwhelmingly superior, if you don't have the ability to counterfire in those situations, in an equal skill situation, or even a roughly equal skill situation, the guy that merges already starting behind the other guy is probably going to win. I don't understand how that is, like, a hard concept to grasp. The same thing of, like, me playing in a tier where I have the ability to kind of, like, launch missiles across the map in the form of the AIM-54, and the ability to kind of detect people as soon as they take off, this is not good gameplay. Like, we have taken War Thunder from a game at Jets, but I'd say it's a better game than DCS previously to this, because in spite of everything that was going on, in spite of kind of like the flight model differences, it wasn't as jarring. You at least got to the merge. You could at least get to the merge, and you could play the fact that you're better at dogfighting, the fact that you have more knowledge. You can do it a little bit better. And instead of that, what we've done is we've DCSified War Thunder. We have made War Thunder into a worse version of DCS for all intents and purposes, because at least in DCS, yes, the red side is inferior. The FC3 planes don't have the same number of features, but you also have an environment that's kind of like dedicated to offsetting those balances. The ability to data link your plane with the ground radar, to data link it with other planes, and to be able to, like, fly out and use your missiles, use your radar missiles with, like, buddy team, whatever, radar slewing with other things, the ability to kind of, like, maintain situational awareness without having to rely on basically, like right now, my Su-27 gameplay, like, I'm basically relying purely on the IRST, the IRST, and using the IRST as your situational awareness tool with the way that's implemented in War Thunder is kind of like trying to, like, navigate a rainforest while, like, staring through a drinking straw. Like, it could be done, it just doesn't work all that well. And the same thing at this tier is, like, these guys in their MiG-23s, their Su-25s, all of their stuff, like, they can't compete with the capabilities of the plane. They have nothing to retaliate with. And they also, like, they don't have the player numbers. Like, the player numbers aren't there because when a guy starts into sim and he, like, wants to learn how to do it, it's really obvious that one side has an enormous advantage over the other. It's like going to the World Series and you're going to watch the two best baseball teams fight it out, and then they change the rules. They're like, hey, one team gets to play T-ball and the other team has to play actual baseball. Now, for my non-American friends, T-ball is like the kiddie version of baseball where, like, there is no pitcher, like, the ball isn't thrown at the batter. Like, it's just put on a stick in front of it, and so, like, kids can hit it. And that's basically what's going on here. Like, I'm looking at this guy's runway at this point, and because you can actually distinguish him as soon as he starts to roll. As soon as you realize, like, there's, like, 3 dots on the airfield, and, like, 2 of them are together and one isn't. Obviously, the one that's by itself, that's probably an enemy player. And overall, just means that, like, he's probably going to die. And sure enough, we get the AIM-54. He does get off the runway, and he's in the Tornado ADV, that's one of the planes that received an enormous benefit from the patch. The F4EJ Kai, the Tornado ADV, kind of all of, like, your middle-of-the-road kind of missile slingers did receive, like, a substantial benefit, but also the stuff that was already meta-defining, in spite of, like, the multipathing ability, is now even, like, more meta-defining. Like, in all honesty, on 11.7 days, it really, what I'm doing is I'm shooting AIM-54s at people. I'm shooting AIM-7Fs at people. I'm turning my brain off. I don't have to work at this. And the thing is, like, I have some friends that have transitioned to sim again, and this is what we did when we first started. It was just, like, we'd just take off and shoot 54s, but, like, they just wouldn't hit because they were kind of, like, kind of gimpy, and multipathing was the thing. The thing that I did day one as, like, a sim noob, an F-14 noob, is now one of the most effective strategies in the game with very little counterplay to it. In all honesty, like, yeah, you can take the MiG-23. You're going to have to hug the deck, turn your radar off, not pop up in the head-on radar. So it means that you're going to have to be basically 90 degrees to the guy, or you're going to have to be flying away, or just hope that he doesn't look at you and hope that he doesn't angle the radar down. As soon as the enemy player, like, clears this, like, skill hurdle, which is, I don't know, mapping a couple of buttons, yeah, you're just playing defensively. You're just kind of hoping that the other guy is terrible. And from a gameplay perspective, it's fun for me. It's fun for me to just like load into a game and shit on everyone just by virtue of having a better plane and having a game mode that coddles me and my insecurities. But for a game mode that's going to be healthy, for a game to be healthy, it has to be competitive. In order for it to be competitive, it has to be like at least somewhat fair. And this just isn't it. This isn't it. And what has happened is we have done the correct thing, but we've done the correct thing in the wrong order, which is basically like doing a math problem. Like, you have a order of operations, you have your PEMDAS, and if you don't do the thing in the right order, you end up with the wrong answer. And this is the wrong answer. This is not what people want to play, or this is not what people on the receiving end of this want to play. Because, like, this is all I want to play right now. I just want to shoot AIM-54s at people, and the fact that red teams are filthy, cowardly quitters and don't know how to play the game is just pathetic, and you guys are losers, and you guys just don't understand how to use the advantages of your plane. You need to, like, learn how to play better, and, you know, like, I'm just a genius for, you know, loading up the spaded F-14 and shooting 54s at people that have shitty RWRs. At the same time, the Mirage 2000 is overpowered, and by one bullet 95's estimation, that thing needs to go up so that the F-14A doesn't suffer by fighting against it. But guess what? You can just, you know, queue with it on your side, and now nothing can compete. Anyways, that's the video.